All right, it is time for Friday feedback. You can always email info@davidpakman.com if you have a message that you may want included, but we'll also pick YouTube comments, Twitter replies, TikTok comments. Who knows what will show up here? A lot of confusion in this week's Friday feedback, I will mention. Ernie Forrest said on YouTube, "Were you always a McCain supporter, Pacman? Or did you start defending him only after Trump voiced his own opinion of him?" You know, everything is so black and white in American politics these days, and especially with some of these MAGA types. I think what this person is referring to is that I said John McCain exhibited a form of toughness that is totally alien to Trump. McCain went and fought, and in the Vietnam War was held as a POW and was tortured. And then he came back, and then he had a successful and productive career. And even if I didn't agree with his politics, it's still a story that gives you a completely different understanding of a man than it does of Trump growing up with a silver spoon in his mouth in Queens and Manhattan, and then getting a doctor's note about his ankles to not have to be drafted. Okay. It's not that I'm a McCain supporter. And in 2008, I voted for his opponent, Barack Obama. But Ernie, you know, I think you've got this brain rot here where everything's black and white, everything's one thing or the other. And this is how we ended up in this problem politically that we have in this country to a great degree. M. Teeters says, "I'll vote for the guy that had a great economy instead of this burning trash heap we have now. Thanks for asking." Please get in touch with me so I can hear more specifically from you. Which economic metrics are telling you that we have a burning trash heap right now? I've tried to confront some of these people on Twitter, and I will say to them, got it. You claim the economy was great under Trump and now it's bad. I understand the argument you're making. Tell me, what day, when Biden became president, on which day of his presidency did the economic markers you pay attention to signal the economy had become a disaster? Was it on the day Biden became president? Was it a month in? Was it a year in? And then tell me, what is it? Oh, well, it's the unemployment rate in the stock market, to which then we could go and look and we'd say, oh, look, the unemployment rate is lower. The stock market's higher. So it couldn't be that. And as you all know, if you actually examine these sorts of claims to any degree, they fall apart very, very quickly. So for M. Teeters, who says he's going to vote for the great economy guy, Trump, rather than the burning trash heap economy, Biden, give us the actual information. Tell me which metrics and on what date you realize the metrics now say we have a terrible economy. A Reddit user, Magic Must Be Me, posted a thread where he wrote, "Does anyone suspect the White House meeting that David and other creators attended is connected to lack of Gaza coverage?" You know, you don't have to dig deep for some secret conspiracy or explanation about what's going on the show. We covered Ukraine, Russia at the beginning. And since this is not a foreign policy show, it essentially doesn't come up anymore, except in some context of, oh, there was a meeting between Trump and this official or NATO. And similarly, we covered what's going on in Israel, Gaza at the beginning. It's now been more than 6 months. I guess it's been almost 8 months. And this is not a foreign policy show. And it's not a big topic on the show. The idea that I went to a meeting and then I came back and no longer talked about Gaza is just ridiculous. And by the way, you can also just look on the YouTube channel. That meeting I was invited to was at the State of the Union. So I think that's the first week in March. That was already 5 months in. And what you will see is that the average weekly coverage of what's going on in Israel, Gaza, or Ukraine, Russia did not change after that meeting. Went on to say, would make sense. The more liberal voices speaking against Biden hurt his reelection. The meeting was totally off the record, so nothing of substance can be shared. I'm fairly convinced there is some amount of leverage here, fueling David's nonstop coverage of drivel about Trump and Kristi Noem and lack of coverage of our domestic participation of the genocide in Gaza. Yeah, I mean, this is just so silly. And the other thing you have to understand is, even first of all, bringing 10 mid-level creators to the White House and saying, please don't talk about Gaza, it's bad for us. as absurd as that would be, because it's just 10 small creators and it would do nothing to change the bigger media dynamic, even if the White House were willing or thought it was a good idea to do that, it would leak that they did that, and that would become an insanely huge story. When something is off the record, all that means is they don't want you sharing quotes. That's it. But I've already said, I asked a question to the vice president. In fact, if anything, my question was adversarial. I asked the vice president about what is their plan for counteracting the fact that there is a slice of Democrats that are upset with them about Israel, Gaza. So no, it's a beautiful conspiracy theory. It is not based in fact. All right, Seth wrote in, and Seth wrote in about the Royce White interview and says, tell me you think you're an alpha without telling me you're an alpha, right? Absolute fragile masculinity at its most delicate. From not having any valid points and arguing himself in circles to interrupting at every opportunity to repeat the same invalid nonsense, it was very difficult to listen to the interview. Identity politics aside, even if Royce was white, he is a pretty typical Republican, concerned with non-existent issues and submitting zero substantial policy ideas. Yeah, Seth's view of the Royce White interview was basically the most common feedback I got. Also, this from Sparky. David, please don't ever interview Roy again unless you set ground rules first, that he must not interrupt every time you speak. That interview was worse than the first Trump-Biden debate from that perspective, and you seem to let him control it. Yeah, I mean, I think I should have muted him earlier when he kind of tried to keep going. I should have just muted him, and I would have still been able to hear him, but the audience would not, and maybe it would have been less disruptive and disorienting. But listen, I mean, I think it's interesting to talk to those guys because of the such obvious lack of substance. And I can't imagine he has any shot at defeating Amy Klobuchar. HTNN commented on YouTube, maybe when old Davy Pacman figures out what a woman is, we can have a discussion about what facts and reality are. You know, the what is a woman people, I haven't heard from them much lately, but they're still out there. And it's really not the gotcha that they think it is. You know, the answer to what is a woman is different in an obstetrics and gynecology setting than it is in a gender discrimination setting, or than it is in a social setting, or they think that there's this gotcha where unless you give the one definition that applies everywhere. At an OBGYN's office, woman is someone that was born biologically female. If you are, again, if you're a trans woman and you go to an OBGYN and say, I've missed my period, I think I'm pregnant, it's very quickly going to be dealt with as a mental health issue. But that's a very different scenario than what about gender discrimination under the law for someone who exists in society and socially as a woman, based on all of the typical norms and signals that we use to figure out who am I talking to here. So, you know, it's very boring that they're still on this what is a woman thing. But some of them have run out of, they don't have anything else. I mean, they don't have anything else to talk about, so they go back to that. Girlshine says, I'm from the UK, and we don't understand what's happened to the United States. A convicted rapist/felon is running for president? What the F? This is mind-blowing. This incredulity that you see on the screen, in which I just read to you, is what I'm trying to explain to the audience when I say, guys, this isn't normal. When I talk to friends and family in Europe, in South America, all over the world, when I hear from audience members in different parts of the world, it's not like, oh, who's better for the economy, Biden, Trump? It's, has the country lost its mind? This doesn't even pass the sniff test. Convicted rapist and civilly liable rapist, convicted felon running for president, and he might win? What is wrong with your country? And you need only watch video from this weekend's Trump rally to figure out what's wrong. Flip to My Lou wrote, I gave Biden a chance, gave him 3.5 years to get his act together, and the guy has done nothing at all for the middle class. He's only made things worse. It's time to get Trump back in to fix this mess. Here's my question. Is this person reachable by fact, or are they too far gone? Because as you all maybe know, when you have sustained low unemployment, under 4% for a longer period than we've seen in 50 years, that's good for the middle class. The very wealthy can afford to be out of a job. It's good for the middle class. When you cut costs on specific medications, or when you cut, or rather forgive, student loan debt, that helps the middle class. I don't know that there is any factual presentation that someone like Flip to My Lou would find convincing when it comes to the economy. And I know I started with this, and I'll say it again. Tell me exactly the metrics that say to you, the economy is worse now than it was under Trump. And then we'll look at them together and we'll evaluate them. But they never send them to me, you know, they just never do. Make sure that you're signed up at joinpacman.com to get instant access to the bonus show and all of the other great membership perks. Remember that at davidpacman.com/book, you can get my original children's book, Think Like a Detective. You can get my second children's book, Think Like a Scientist. And you can get my third children's book, Out on an Election Year, Think Like a Voter. You can get all three of them, or one or two. Check them out at davidpacman.com/book. I will see you on the bonus show, and we'll be back Monday as well.